Hi, I'm Mark Honeybone from Property Ventures, and welcome to our podcast where we interview prominent members of the investment community along with other professionals in the New Zealand property market. To check us out, take a look at propertyventures.co.nz. We hope you enjoy today's podcast.
Hi, and welcome back to the New Zealand Property Podcast and video series. I'm Mark Honeybone, and we're sponsored by Property Ventures Real Estate. I'm very lucky and fortunate today to have Pete Chatteris. That's right, Pete, is it?
It certainly is.
And I'm really excited today because Property Ventures, we're just starting a new umbrella of our already getting larger umbrella company of real estate. And we're going to the Eastern Bays in Auckland, so the Mission Bay, St Helliers, Glen sort of region. And Pete's one of the main drivers of this, and he's him and myself and Wendy, that many of you all know, the team that we've created and we're creating for you. And so we just want to talk a bit about it today. It's my show, as you all know, out there, so I can talk about what I want, and I think this is pretty good and pretty special for you today, especially if you are around the Eastern Bay areas or even interested in property around there, or you live there at the moment, like Pete does, and I did just recently. So before we get going too far, hello, Pete, and welcome to the show.
How you doing, Mark? I like the bit about the big umbrella. I mean, this winter we've needed a few of those, haven't we?
Yeah, we have, and we've got a few challenges under those umbrellas at the moment, but we are working through it day by day. We might talk a bit about that in the next few minutes as well. But first of all, so a lot of listeners here today will know a bit about me. So we want to learn more about you and what we're doing and why we're doing what we are. So first of all, you are a local. How long have you been a local for? And tell us a bit about what you've been doing the last, a few years.
I was born and bred in St Helliers, up in Maskell Street there. So I went to St Helliers School and Glen College. And I was a musician, actually. Well, when I left school, I was an engineer, an avionics engineer working on aircraft. And that taught me systemizations, that the systems are what powers a business or what powers an aircraft. Then I became a musician. Well, I was a drummer, so I hung around with musicians and went full-time in that. And to search for more music, went to Australia. I continued with music there for a while, dabbled in antiques for a while, actually 10 years. We were in antiques, and at the same time had a radio talkback show that was based in Queensland, but we were syndicated also to New South Wales and Victoria. We had record ratings. It was interesting because that taught me how to talk to people instantly. You had to think quickly. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the live environment quite a lot. I came back to New Zealand in 2002. I was a music teacher. So I went from playing music to teaching music. I loved that. I loved the interaction with kids. And the same thing, you had to be able to answer these children quickly because they were demanding answers. And it was an interesting experience, and did a lot of stuff within the primary sector and then moved to the secondary sector, which I liked. So 3.5 years ago, with my new partner, I decided, well, got to change, I will take up real estate, which I did. And the skills that I've learned throughout the years have actually become very valuable in real estate. Not only the interaction of people, but also the technical side as well, Mark.
But I imagine that as a talkback host, as you just alluded to, as far as being a real estate agent now, would benefit you immensely, especially when we do get an awkward situation sometimes with the purchasers asking the hard questions. And a lot of real estate agents, especially the ones with not a lot of knowledge of property, of property themselves, and maybe haven't had as much experience buying and selling or as many transactions that I might have had over the years, they struggle to come with that. So I imagine that is one of the biggest advantages from being a talkback host that you've picked up.
Well, yeah, talkback was like that, but I think where I've picked up a lot of that was from Toastmasters. So I've done a lot of public speaking and won quite a few awards with that, got through to the national finals. When Toastmasters, we have a thing called table topics, and yes, I'm advertising Toastmasters here, but table topics is you get given a subject and then you've got to instantly speak about it. And you've got to speak about it, you know, for 2 minutes. It's quite difficult. You first learn of the subject when you get up on stage. And so, yes, you do have to think quickly on your feet. And you're right, when you're talking with buyers or vendors, you have to quickly think as well, but you've got to come up with the accurate information, Mark.
Yeah, and it's the first impressions with like anything, but real estate especially, the first 30 seconds or 10 seconds is so important. And I think one or two things, if you have the knowledge and you can think quickly on your feet to answer any curly questions you may have, it gets that first impression. And when you're an agent, salesperson, you're representing the vendor of the property, they're paying you good money to do that. The better you are at that. And I think that makes one of the differences between some very good agents and very average agents around the country. There are plenty of both, which is fine. And so I think that's really important. I mean, one of the things, benefits if we are doing plugs for ourselves sort of thing is, I've brought and sold hundreds of property in the last 15 years. And when you do that many transactions, nothing's really a surprise. And it's even though I'm not very quick at thinking on my feet, I've been there, I've done it, and got the knowledge of virtually most situations you'll get, I guess, with property. So it's very easy to come up with solutions. In fact, most of my job these days is a problem solver within the Property Ventures umbrella, even though I love selling. So yeah, that's all good. And I guess you've got the same. You've been around property and you've learned, been one of the top teams around another agency recent years, and you're more of you are sort of a local in the area we're selling to. I've lived there the last 4 years of the last 4.5 years, and then I've come to love the Eastern Bays. I've lived in Oraki, and I love that particular area, but also love obviously the rest of the area through there. And I love walking around the waterfront. I love the little cafes, and I get my favourite croissant and coffee there on a Sunday morning. But you've got to be early because they do run out.
Yeah, I think one of the things about the Bays is, especially from teaching in the Bays area, that it is a community. And as a community, a lot of people know each other. They say that New Zealand, I think, is 2 degrees of separation, and I think the Bays could be maybe 1.5 degrees of separation for many people, which can be an advantage because half these people I've taught their kids or know them from school, and once you're in the Bays area, a lot of people stay. Apart from my 20 years in Australia, I've stayed in the Bays, which is pretty good.
Always come home.
Oh yeah. Come home. Look, I think one of the most important things that we can do in real estate is like we said before, be ordinary people doing extraordinary things for ordinary people. There's a lot of talk out there about real estate agents and how we drive flash cars and do whatnot. And, personally, I'm a motorcycle person. I like nothing more than hopping on my motorcycle and go around the waterfront drive.
Nice part of town for it.
Yeah, just cruising, I love it. And my partner, she rides a bike as well. So often you'll see us both going around the waterfront. I ride a bicycle around the waterfront as well. There's no place in the world quite like that area.
So that's that sort of leads on to the next part of this conversation. Really, people are going to go, why list with Eastern Bays property? Why list with Pete and why list with Mark? Apart from, we've already said, we're especially you are local. I've been local for 4 years and bring a lot of experience in the last 15 years of current real estate. and have sold real estate in the area as well myself. You've sold a lot more than me. So, why would someone want to come to us, Property Ventures, and not with another company?
Well, Property Ventures is a smaller company and we can move fast. So quite often with a larger company, a larger corporate, I think some of the decisions are made at corporate level and they're moving a bit slower. I must admit, though, there's a lot of good, very, very good agents around here.
Yep.
And one of the big things that we have is a major point of difference is that we will allow any other agent to sell our property. So, for example, if a vendor signs on with us, and there's a bit of confusion, what an exclusive agency is there. Some people still think that an exclusive agency means that only we can sell the property. Well, actually, that's not true, because we would invite other agents to come over, bring their buyers to us and sell the property. Now, how do they get paid? Well, we share our commission. There are some companies and some individual agents that won't do that. So if you're signing with an agent, make sure that they do what's called a conjunctional. So in technical terms, that's what it's called. You conjunct with another agent, or you allow another agent to sell the property. Now, obviously, because we are the listing agent, we are also responsible for who comes through the property. So if another agent would bring a buyer through the property, we would be there at all times. So the security is always extremely important to us.
No, that's right. And it's a real bugbear of mine of some companies and some individuals, as you said, in companies don't do that. In fact, just on that point, it's really weird. Some people do and some people don't from different companies. And I've always looked at real estate as it's not necessary that the company is important, but it's not necessarily the company is how good service you're going to get. What it is, it's as far as I'm concerned, it's the head of that office, what they are like, what their ethics are like, what they teach their salespeople, and what the salesperson is obviously like that's selling your property. And they're the two key things. You can have be the biggest company in New Zealand and have the newest person in New Zealand. So where you could have a smaller company, someone with 10, 20 years experience or a lot more, who's in a small company, who's the best person. And it always comes down to, for me, the individual and that office that individual works for. That's still very important, because they decide as a group sometimes, will we do conjunctionals or will we not do conjunctionals? Will we talk with the other real estate agents in the area? Do we not talk to the other real estate agents in the area? And what I hate is I hear one of my agents or myself, and we bring a buyer, knock on the door, ring up the agent of another property from another agent and say, I've got a buyer, they're a good buyer, they really would like this property, they'll be looking for places, and they say, no, we're not interested in that buyer. And I say, really? Are you really, who are you working for? Are you working for yourself, or are you working for the vendor of the property that's paying you a lot of money? And it gets me a little bit, I don't get angry, Pete, but that gets me close.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, we have what's called a fiduciary care to the person that's paying us. And that means we have a fiduciary care to the vendor under normal circumstances, or if we've got a buyer's agency, we have fiduciary care to the buyer. But if we have you as a vendor, we have fiduciary care. That means the highest possible point of caring. It means that we represent you first. We don't represent the buyer, we represent the person who's selling us. And to me, it makes common sense to allow other agencies to bring their buyers through, because otherwise, what are we doing? I don't believe that we're providing fiduciary care in that circumstance.
And we still have that same fiduciary care. I mean, the agent that comes along with another buyer, we still have that same care to our vendor, and so do they. So we make sure that happens along the way. Yeah,
exactly. It's an interesting thing. We've had a lot of training sessions on fiduciary care and also the conjunctional side of things. And I think it's becoming more common to do the conjunctionals, but where where I think it falls down is what the agent actually offers the agent with the buyer. And that's where I think we're very generous. And so therefore, we're in a position to be able to say to the other agents, hey, bring your people through. And also the fact that buyers are quite often loyal to agents. You know, one of the excuses that some people use is, well, hang on a minute, they'll come anyway. No, they won't. No, they won't.
Yep.
Especially with developers and especially with first home buyers. No, they're pretty loyal to agents.
100%. And these other companies, I guess, like ours around, and, you know, a lot of our buyers don't know any of the properties on the market until we tell them in a newsletter. So, you know, in that case there, they're never going to find that property. And I'll just give you a couple of examples of what I've done myself in the last wee while with conjunctionals, to show how, to the listeners, how it works if you're unfamiliar. We had a property in Waiheke. It was listed with another real estate agency over there who'd been on the market for about a year or so. It was an unusual property. It was a selling point, I think it was 9.7 million in the end. We had to buy for that property. So we had to buy, we introduced them to the property through the other agent, and it was a long negotiation, but I'm a patient man, and we got that across the line. So it was really good. Then you look just in the last year, we've had the last 35 sales for Alexandra Park that got long story about Alexandra Park. It took a long time to sell, and 35 vendors gave their property back to the developers who come to us, and we sold the last 35. Now, a few, probably, I don't know, I'd say 5 or so of them were conjunctionals, where other real estate agents from different companies all come along, and we did the deal with them, and we shared that commission with those agents. And again, interesting, as I said, though, some of those agents, their counterparts in different branches don't do conjunctionals, though some of them did.
I think another point of difference too is that we've got a history of actually looking after the buyers and the vendors properly. So our job doesn't end when we've sold your property. I mean, you know, people think, oh, well, you know, we'll just come in, we'll sell your property, we'll get our commission and go. No. As a matter of fact, we'll help you into your next place, or we'll help you, you know, if you're elderly and you need to go to a retirement village, let's talk about it. If you need something like a garden done or a fence painted, let's talk about how we can do that. It's simple little things like that we do care about people.
No, 100%. And I always like to think that's one of our differences between us and some other offices and some other companies. There are some very good ethical people out there, but a lot aren't. And it's a hard thing to promote yourself or to say, you know, I'm a country boy from North Canterbury, and I was brought up with everything with a handshake, and that's how Dad did things, and that's how I did things. Quite clearly, the rules have changed a wee bit, and the world's moved on in the last 30, 40 years. Oh, yeah. And we can't do it by the handshake anymore, the whole job. But what we can do is have that same mentality of looking after your customers and your clients as well as you can. And that's what it is. And I'm very fortunate as the guy running Property Ventures, as in our company right now, every agent in our company, we have a couple very driven by earning money, which is fine. I have no qualms with that. But no one will ever make it a wrong decision to and put their ethics up and, you know, to talk about sort of things. So, and I'm really proud of that. We have had a couple probably in the past. We certainly don't have that right now, and that's great. And I feel fortunate, you know, have some very good people in our company, but working alongside you and me and Wendy with Eastern Bay's property, it's just fantastic to have some people all exactly the same sort of, you know, time of our life maybe. Have been around a wee bit. We've seen good, we've seen bad, and we don't need to put any of that at risk. And when people say, I'm just going to Google you and have a look around, I go, yes, good, do it. And because they'll soon see that from people anyway. So, but that's something that neither of us will compromise of. We will do the best for you. And geez, real estate, you pay a lot of commission. There's a good reason for it. I'm not going to get into that right here today. But you deserve to be looked after when you were hiring some people to sell the major asset, if not the biggest asset you'll ever own in your life?
At this time in our life, are you saying that we're sort of getting up there? And
no, just experience, and you and me have both experienced a lot. So that's all. Nothing about the age thing. Geez,
nothing about the age thing. I'm glad of that.
And I don't dye my hair, even though my mate thinks I do. I don't, and he's got very close. There's a lot of grey hairs around the side, but he won't. Yeah. But nothing against grey hairs here, Pete.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it just means experience.
Look, the big thing is it's not even the real estate experience. You know, in terms of years, I'm probably fairly new in real estate, but it's actually experience in life and experience in dealing with people, communicating with people, and thinking and empathy. I mean, I've been through some pretty hard times in my life, and I understand when people are stressed. I can see when people are stressed. That, you know, you're going to be stressed in a real estate transaction. It's a fact. But I would just like to see people lessen that stress and not become too anxious in it. And that's a really important part of our job. So
that comes back to communication. If the agents communicate well, there's just less stress with the whole situation. What I love to tell my team and myself is, if it's good or bad feedback, we need to know. The vendors need to know. Yeah. They need to know today, not in a week's time or a month's time or a year's time. They need to know today why, and we'll deal with it. And then there's it makes the whole process easier when you're dealing with things as you go along. So that's why we hint if any agents are out there watching.
And then added to that is our technical expertise. Now, technical expertise in real estate is becoming more and more important. The applications that we use allow us to communicate, but they also allow us to analyze the success of what we're doing.
Yep. And the third part of our team is a lady called Wendy.
Oh yeah.
Been in the real estate game for a wee while herself, and she's I just how do you say it when you can't rave about someone enough, Pete? She's exceptionally good, and her background work is the best you'll find anywhere, and that's just we're lucky to have her. So that's a good compliment for us to have her working with us and making us look really good. And it's all nice being able to talk quickly and talk well, know the products, know the area, know property, and all the ins and outs of what can go wrong and right. But having that support and behind is equally as good. And we can sell property whatever way you want to do. If we if you want an auction, which is I'm not always a fan of at the moment. I'm a big fan of it because it's the right time of the market right now to be doing it usually. Every place is different though. Not every property it is. And I'm lucky. I don't say I socialise all the time there, Pete, but I do go out on a Thursday night often, and with the best auctioneers in New Zealand, and one of those chaps calls our auctions, and his backup is the most successful auctioneer in Australasian history. So there you go. That's not a bad people to call on.
All in all, I think Property Ventures, let's go. I'm so proud and honoured to be part of Property Ventures, to be asked to join the team. I'm thrilled with what the future is going to hold, and I'm thrilled with what the future can hold for you, because after all, it's all about you.
Absolutely. And thanks, Pete. Thanks for coming on board today. Thanks for coming on board with Property Ventures. I know it's been a big decision for you, but I know you've seemed to love what we're about and the ethics and what we do, and so yeah, welcoming you on immensely because of that, and so looking forward to helping the people around the Eastern Bays area that I've come to love for the last 4 years. And I haven't moved too far away at the moment. There's a good reason why I've just moved on. So I'm only around the corner. And Wendy, our third party, who is also a licensed salesperson herself, she's also just I guess a neighbouring suburb in Remurewa. So we're all local. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, there's a very important thing, and that we've got to do, or you've got to do actually, if you want to be part of our team. And look, when I mean part of our team, the vendor is part of our team. Yep. We work with you. Yeah, a lot of people think we work for you. No, we work actually with you. You're an important, integral part of the team that is going to sell your house. And the same with buyers. You're an important, integral part of our team to find your home. After all, you're the person that we're working with. So to get a hold of us, though, you've got to phone us. So the first thing you could do is phone Mark on
021 402 990, or you could email me at mark@propertyventures.co.nz, or you can actually call Pete
027 663075 or 0800 583 326, or pete@propertyventures.co.nz. All those phone numbers and details will be on this video. And make sure you subscribe, you like our Facebook page, you like our Instagram, all that sort of thing. It's very important because we've got good news for you.
Absolutely. One thing you just said there before was about working as part of the team and the vendor being a part of the team. I'm very fortunate with how, started Property Ventures obviously a few years ago. And at the moment now, it's very hard for some agents to get listings because there's a shortage of property out there. A great time to be selling right now for various reasons, which I'm going to be doing another video for in the next 24 hours to talk about. We're very lucky. I get people coming back every week who I've sold properties for and helped in the past 7 or 8 years, and with Property Ventures and even before. And the listings sort of come in. So obviously we've done something right in the past to do that. And we'd love to do that and get the same feeling with people living in Eastern Bay's property that think they've had a fantastic experience, and they'll do the same thing again. And with the help of Pete, who's a local through and through, I'm really keen to do that and get you guys to do it. But as Pete said, you've got to pick your computer up and give us an email, or ring the 0800 number or one of our cell phone numbers, and we'd love to have a chat and give you an appraisal and come and meet you, first of all. And thanks for listening and watching yet again, all you avid listeners and all you new listeners. You can come on here every 2 weeks now and get another inspirational person that I talk to, just like Pete. So take care all, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.